Catching COVID-19 after vaccination. There have been over 1,000 such breakthrough cases here in Singapore over the last 28 days. Now, among these post-vaccination cases, 16 people, or just 1%, became severely ill or died. That's compared to 10% among those unvaccinated. The National Centre for Infectious Diseases says that of the 16, 12 needed oxygen support, while 4 were in the ICU. NCID Executive Director Professor Leo Yee Sin said that the data also shows that vaccination cuts the risk of serious illness for seniors from 17% to 1%. The need for booster shots, however, is still being studied. Cheryl Goh sat down with Professor Leo to find out more about the illness in inoculated people.
We always say that those who are infected with vaccine, they are not severely ill. What exactly does that mean?
So for people with post-vaccination infections, majority of them will just stop at first week. They will just have upper respiratory tract symptoms. Small number of them may go into the pneumonia phase, and it may just stop there. They don't go into the very severe end where they need high volume oxygens or ICU with mechanical ventilations. And that is a drastic difference.
It's been studied in the US and perhaps elsewhere that there are people who are vaccinated and get infected still have similar viral loads to those who are not vaccinated. In that sense, how do we then prevent the spread?
For those individuals who receive vaccine, they are able to control the disease much better, and therefore the period of them secreting high volumes of virus is shortened. Usually by about day 5, day 7 of clinical illness, you can see a distinct difference that the vaccinated and infected individuals, the secretions, the virus in their secretions dropped drastically.
Are these so-called vaccine breakthroughs that we're seeing, can we expect to see more of them as more variants like the Delta surface?
We don't know at this point in time because when I reflect back on Delta, the disease caused by Delta, in fact, is quite similar to any of the other different variant or different strain. But we do know that Delta tends to have more severe outcome. So in other words, there will be more cases with pneumonia, there are more cases that require oxygens. But the most important thing is Delta is very transmissible because it's secreted large quantity in the respiratory system.
We've seen some studies that found that people who have gotten their vaccine at least 6 months or more ago show that their antibody levels have actually fallen. What does that mean? Does that mean that there is a need for a booster shot so that they can maintain a certain level of protection?
I think this is a very, very good question where there is no definite answer at this point in time. The things that we need to find out is how do we measure that we are being protected? Measuring at this point in time, there is no standard indicator, and therefore this is still an area that is undergoing intense study. Then we will have to decide who needs it, when do they need it, and what kind of vaccines will be the best to deliver as a booster.
Another expert says that amid the post-vaccination infections, the public needs to be reminded of the main purpose of vaccinations, and that's to prevent a spike in severe cases that would overwhelm the country's healthcare system.
The mRNA vaccine turned out to be so good when it first came out last year, right, with a 95% efficacy. People forget that that is way above what we wanted originally. And so now our expectation has gone up so high that when we now deal with Delta, we're beginning to think that, oh, we need to worry, we need to give a third dose and all that. But in fact, that was never the goal. The goal is to prevent severe cases.
Professor Wee adds he expects Singapore to ease more measures as vaccination rates continue to rise.
The fact that our vaccination rate is now 75, approaching 80%, which I think is going to be enough to keep outbreaks from happening in Singapore. I don't think we can and we should continue with all these restrictions because it affects many other things, right? Our mental well-being, our emotions and all that.